if this is comedy or not.
Well, this morning, Trump revealing maybe something he shouldn't have. Who helped write those jokes for him?
I've had a lot of people helping. A lot of people, a couple of people from Fox, actually, I shouldn't say that, but they wrote some jokes, and for the most part, I didn't like any of them.
Well, a spokesperson for Fox News says, quote, no employee or freelancer wrote the jokes, unquote. Now, there are people familiar with the matter telling CNN's Hadass Gold, comedian Nick DiPaolo, who has written jokes for Fox News host Greg Gutfeld, helped Trump with the speech. But DiPaolo does not actually work for the network. I want to bring in Fox News whisperer, CNN anchor, and my colleague and friend Alison Camerata. She previously anchored Fox and Friends and spent 16 years at Fox News, and it's news to her this evening that she's a Fox News whisperer. I heard the laugh, Allison. Well, let me ask you.
I've never been called that, but I assume the role.
There's a first time for everything, and it's happening tonight. And I do wonder, did it surprise you to hear that Trump say that a couple people from Fox helped write some of the jokes?
Not at all. It did not surprise me at all. I know that he routinely speaks to various Fox hosts. Many of them have relationships with him. And I assumed when he said that it was Greg Gutfeld, because Greg is their resident comedian. And so I assumed it was Greg Gutfeld or someone on his staff. Now, as you say, Laura, Fox came out and said, no, it was in fact someone who writes jokes for Greg Gutfeld, who's not employed by the network. But it's hard to know what to believe because both Fox and Donald Trump do not have great track records with telling the truth. Fox, as you'll recall, a few months ago had to pay $787 million because of the lies that they broadcast about the 2020 election. Donald Trump, I would say on a daily basis, makes fact-free comments. So it's hard to know who to believe, but the larger point here is that no journalist for any legitimate news channel would be able to write a speech for a political candidate. And that's why Fox had to immediately come out and deny that what Donald Trump said was true. So it's hard to know what the real truth is.
And of course, even in a comedic setting, even off of their network, it still would not be appropriate to do so, which is why they had to come out as well. You know, Trump's interview, it actually ran for 40 minutes. And before running for office, he was a weekly fixture on Fox and Friends. And I wanted to talk about the relationship there. What do you remember from your time on the show about his rapport and what it was like when he would come on?
So when I was at Fox and Friends, starting in, I think around 2011 or 2010, they had a designated slot for Donald Trump. It was every Monday for about 15 minutes. And they used him basically as a political pundit. And it's funny, Laura, I hear people now say that it was The Apprentice that allowed Donald Trump to become president and really put him on the map, made him a household name. I personally think that it was more Fox and Friends because, yes, The Apprentice depicted him as a successful CEO, businessman, but it was Fox and Friends that put him in the political arena because he would come in and offer political punditry. They would ask him about, President Obama's policies, and he would opine on the policies. And that was, to me, where he found his sort of political voice. So what happened was every time they put him on, the ratings went up. So they would book him again for the next week, and then the ratings would go up. So they developed this very mutually beneficial relationship between Fox and Donald Trump that continues to this day.
Very self-affirming in so many ways. And the idea of what that would lead to for political credibility and capital later on perhaps was predictable in some respects. But, live TV and almost hour-long conversation can lead to some pretty revelatory moments. Moments like, well, this one, Allison.
I'm going to see Rupert Murdoch. That's a big event. I don't know if he's thrilled that I say it.
Yeah, please tell
And I'm
him.
going to tell him,
Thank you.
I'm going to tell him something very simple because I can't talk to anybody else about it. Don't put on negative commercials for 21 days. Don't put them, and don't put on their horrible people that come and lie. I'm going to say, Rupert, please do it this way.
I mean, talk about blowing up someone's spot. Even if he were inclined to help Trump, putting him on the spot like that, very counterproductive. How is Murdoch likely to respond?
In my experience, what I know of Rupert Murdoch, his guiding principle is the bottom line. So he will continue to put on Democrats' ads if they continue paying for it. So I think that, Rupert Murdoch is mostly driven by the profit model. So Democrats pay for time on Fox because they want to cast a wide net and reach the Fox viewers. And Rupert Murdoch is happy to take their money. And he's also, I believe, happy to put on Democrats who get ratings for them. So Vice President Kamala Harris just went on Fox and got 2.5 to 3 times the ratings that Donald Trump did in that same 24 hours. So I believe that Rupert Murdoch will continue to put on Democrats because, again, the business model works. And when it works, that's what I think his guiding principle is.
Gordon Gekko, greed is good. And so are you, Allison Camerata. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Laura.